Hi everybody, this is Mario Hernandez. Today we're going to talk about something that I think probably a lot of people, especially people who work on the front end and Drupal, have issue with, which is being able to provide or have Drupal provide better markup, cleaner markup. One of the things, it's probably the only thing that I wish Drupal would do better, which is being able to provide more semantic markup, cleaner markup, not too many divs and wrappers. So what we're going to do today is we're going to create a view of content, kind of like what you see here on the screen. It's just a simple list of nodes or articles, and what we're doing is we're showing the title of the article, a little teaser, an image, the path of the article, when this was published, and we're just doing that with every single item that exists on our website. So this obviously doesn't look attractive at all. It's just out of the box what Drupal offers for views, which is pretty good. But when we look behind the scenes, when we look under the hood, we see that there's a lot of things here that I wish would be better. All of these divs here and wrappers. So here we have our view starts right here. And then we have our content, view content, and if I move this here, we can, here's the title. So here's the div for the title, there's a span, and inside the span there's an anchor. Here's the teaser, inside the teaser we have a div, and then a paragraph, which is good. Here we have the image, there's a wrapper for the image, another wrapper, and finally the image. We have the path, which is just a span. And finally we have the post day, which is another span. So this could be a little bit better if we had a little more control of what the markup should be. And so what we're going to do today is go over how to create views where you have a little more control of the markup. So let me go and edit the existing view that we have here. We are going to use this as an example. So what we've done is we're saying I want to collect anything that is published and descending order, and these are the fields that I want to collect. So these are the fields that we saw earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this display, and I'm going to actually it's here, I believe, yeah, clone page. And so we can edit the clone of that instead, and so we don't modify the original one. So I'm going to say here new display, just so we know which one it is. And so we are not going to change the fields. We're not going to change any of the criteria, sorting criteria or filter criteria. What we're going to do is we're going to arrange the fields in a way that we have better markup when the view is created. So the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new field. And this is a custom text field just for this one page view. We don't want to show it on the other one. And so no label here. I'm just going to save it for now. Now let me explain to you what I'm going to do here. So we have all these fields that we want to pull in our view, and however we don't want to display them individually the way they are now by default. What we want to do is we want to gather them in a div, for example, wrap them in a div, all these fields, and we can assign classes to those divs. We can assign any type of attribute that we want, and that will give us better control of how we want to style the list of nodes when we have the view created. So we're going to use this custom text field to gather all of these fields in a single div wrapper. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go and tweak things a little bit for each of the fields. Now we are not going to display the fields themselves, so I'm going to exclude this from display. The first thing I'm going to do is, because this is the title of the node, I want to customize the HTML to be, let's say, an H2, because we're showing different several ones of those. I want to do H2. If this was the main title page or the main title field, then I would use H1 for that. And so I'm going to give this a class of, let's say, article title. And the other thing I want to do is I want to remove any default classes that Drupal adds to the field. I'm going to save this just for this display, not for the other one. Then I'm going to go and do the same with the body. When I exclude that from display, I'm going to use the default formatter. Again, for the HTML, I'm going to use a paragraph. I can also assign a class to this paragraph if I want. I can say article. Although in the paragraph probably it doesn't make sense to add the class because we may have multiple paragraphs. Actually, for this view, no, we just have one. So okay, so we can do article body or teaser. And again, we're going to remove the default classes that Drupal offers. In addition to that, we are going to, I think I already have it set, to trim the body because it may be a pretty long body for this article. So I want to trim it to only 200 characters. I want to trim it on a word boundary, so it won't cut it off in the middle of a word. It'll wait until the word is complete to trim it. And then at the end, it's going to add an ellipsis, which is a nice way to indicate that there's more to that teaser. Save that. For the image, again, we're going to exclude it from display. I'm using a medium style size. We can use, let's say, thumbnail, just for the sake of this example here. I'm going to remove the classes, but I do want to add a class. So it'll say article thumbnail. And again, I'm doing these changes only for this new display that we created. I'm leaving the original one alone. Now the path is basically the path to the node, and I'm going to also exclude it from display. And I'm going to remove the default classes. This one I'm going to make it into a paragraph. You know what? I'm going to leave this one alone for now. I'm just going to remove the classes. And then we have the post date. Again, excluded from display. Just for this display here. Medium date. This one I'm going to make it into a paragraph. And I'm going to say published, article published. Or just published date. And also remove the default classes that Drupal offers. The other thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to arrange the fields a little bit because some of those doesn't quite make sense. So for example, the title, I can probably move the date under the title. That's pretty typical that you will see on websites, that the date is shown directly under the title. Then we have an image that we can float to the left, and then we have the body, and finally the path for read more or read full article or something like that. So I'm going to save that. So again, right now our preview shows nothing, because we have selected to exclude all those fields from display. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this new field that I added to gather all of these fields together. The key thing to remember on this here is that this custom text field needs to be at the bottom of the list. And the reason for that is if it's not at the bottom of the list, this field is not going to be able to see any of these other fields. So it needs to be at the bottom in order to see all of these other fields and be able to reference them through the token module. So obviously we need the views module to create this view, but the token module allows us to find replacement patterns for these fields that we are selecting here, and you'll see now what I mean by that. So here, replacement patterns. When I expand this, I see all those fields that we have there. And so this is the machine name for the field, and this is the human readable name. And so if my custom text field was at the top of the list, I wouldn't be able to see any of these fields, and therefore I wouldn't be able to tweak my view. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first create a div with the class of, let's say, single article. Here we go. Because each of this is basically a single article. Basically, what we're doing is we are doing this for each of the articles. So each of the articles will be wrapped in a div just like this. which means that each of these will be an article, a single one. So we're going to leave it that way. The next one we're going to do is the title. Since we already specified the markup for the title, which is H2, we can just type, actually instead of typing, to avoid a typo, you want to copy this and paste it here. Next, we are going to copy the publish date. And again, because we already have specified what markup we want for those fields, we can just place the tokens where we want them to appear, and then they will automatically inherit whatever settings we gave each of the fields in the previous steps. The other option is that if you don't want to set the field settings, is that for the markup, for example, you can actually do it here. As an example, I can say, if I had not selected any type of settings for the body, I can just say I want to wrap the body on a paragraph tag, or I want to wrap the title in an H2, just like that. But since we already did that at the field level, which in a way gives you a little more control, because not only can you tell it which tags to use, but also you can exclude all the other Drupal default tags that Drupal provides, or markup that Drupal provides, and that will clean things up a little bit. And then finally is the path. The path, remember, we didn't do anything with this field, so this is the one where I can actually do a little bit more myself. I can do a paragraph. Inside the paragraph I can do an anchor, and I hope this works here. The path will be the URL of the anchor, the href, and here I can say read full article. Now I can apply this again just to the second display that I created, not the original one. And so now we have here information. Ignore the way things are displayed. What I want to show you is the clean markup, or the at least cleaner markup. It's never going to be 100% as clean as you would like it to be, but it will definitely be cleaner than what Drupal offers by default. So let's see, I didn't, did I think I forgot to give it a URL so I can go to the page. So let's just say, let's call it news as an example. And I'm going to save this, and I'm just going to go to news. So here is our view. It looks like we need to make some changes here, and we can see, but let's take a look at what the markup looks like now that we actually customize it ourselves. Here is where our view starts, actually right here, and here we have each row. Here's one row for the view, here's another row. Each of these rows was going to be an article basically. So if I expand this, here is some of this you can't really help it, but now if you look here, I'm looking at the first item, which is just give me an anchor. I'm not sure why I didn't get not sure why it didn't get the H2 class or tag that I applied. But look at, here's the class that I applied to the div that we created ourselves. Here's the title, then is the image. Now we have the paragraph, and then we have the other paragraph, which is the path. And so all of this, they used to have wrappers. So there was a whole bunch of extra divs that were here that are no longer here. Let's clean this up a little bit more, because the title shouldn't be displaying that way. If for whatever reason, let's see here, if it's not inheriting, I think because we removed the H2 is doing that. So one thing we can do is we can just say none, and then do the H2 in the custom text field instead, just like I was saying before. So I can say H2, and I can give it a class of article title, just like we did before on the other section, and close this here. So the reason why the H2 was not inherited is because in addition to, we assign a tag like h2 class to the title, but at the same time we say remove all of the markup that Drupal offers. So I think that's why I stripped the h2 from the title. If I save this now, we can see that our title now is showing the way we want it to show. Again, I said don't worry about where things are showing. The key was to be able to show cleaner markup and also a little more control of how you want things arranged. Sometimes if you let Drupal do things, or the views do things the way it normally does, it doesn't always give you the result that you want. When you do things this way, not only you have control of the markup, but also you have a little more control of how you want things to display. So if I wanted to do something with the image as an example, based on the order that I place things, I can just say, let me reduce the size of this here so we can see there. So here's an image. I'm going to create a new rule. Since we want to do the same thing with all the images, I'll just do this. So I can say float left, and the margin right, let's say 20 pixels, and now what we're seeing here is that our images are now on the left of the article, and we can do a lot more things with this, but again, the key was to be able to show how much cleaner the markup is. It's more semantic, so search engines will love this. Instead of going through divs just to get to the paragraph, now you just have the paragraph all by itself without anything else around. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this gives you an idea for how to create content lists, and not just content lists, but I've used this technique for example, when I created a slideshow, and I wanted things to be arranged in a specific order. I wanted my images to be on one side, the title to be to the right of the image, the body to be just below it, and then a button to be just below the body of the article or the slideshow. Then I use this technique as well, because that gives me control of where I want things. And you can find that video here on my channel as well, on how to create a slideshow and how to style it. And so I hope that you find that helpful. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.